So this morning is my first day back at work after Christmas. I've got 2 days and then I've got a day off and then I've got another 2 days and then I'm back in a 6-day week. Cheating to myself, so you know, that's always a good idea.
Hey, so I'm on break from work, from lunch. Sorry, they're a bit annoying. And I thought I would talk about labels. So I got a prompt from my friend Josie, who also happens to be my first comment on a video. Yay! And she essentially said, thoughts and opinions on labels, and why do we give them to ourselves? Why do other people give them to us? And what does that mean? And I've honestly just been thinking about this for the last couple of days, thinking about how, because it's a big subject, labels is such a huge, part of the perceived LGBT experience, and I think that's something we should deal with. And what I wanted to say first of all was, I think we should talk about language, because all of these words and things come obviously from language, and language is something that I believe is constantly evolving, constantly changing. We can only articulate and discuss what we can put into words, so we have to be able to communicate these ideas with other people. And because I'd argue that we're kind of in this gender sexual identity renaissance, so we're suddenly very, very aware that there's so much more to our culture than just being the heteronormative idea of what a person is no longer just the accepted term, and I think language has to grow and adapt with that. So we're creating new words constantly for our experiences so that we can find other people who share our same experience, and that makes us feel a lot less lonely and a lot more understood, and we feel valid because there is a label for that. Conversely, that also works with the rest of society. As society is learning what words mean, we are going to attach different semantics to them. Society has a very specific way of trying to understand something. So when we learn about something, we tend to now put it in a very consumable, bite-sized chunks of information that we can unpack and explain simply. So when we're learning about coronavirus, we learn all sorts of mistakes because we're shorthand trying to learn something that scientists have been trying to have devoted their whole life. It's people's literal background of research that we are suddenly oh yeah, I googled that so I know it, and you don't often get the full story. We almost think we can become self-prescribed experts by simply reading about something. Often, for me, as someone who is non-binary, the label for me is particularly difficult because not all people who associate with a particular sexuality or a particular gender or a particular absence of gender or a particular belief system even are all the same. Rather than making a loving connection and a romantic connection, a lot of things to do with homosexuality focus on the sex side of things, and obviously that's going to exclude anybody who is asexual but homo-romantic, and just that we have these developing ideas that over time, I think we're learning that like your sexual orientation is not the same as your romantic orientation, and your romantic orientation, they can be completely lumped into one. Like, you can be gay, homosexual, and be completely in love and attracted to men and sexually attracted to men. Likewise, you could be homoromantic and asexual, which means that you would be attracted to the same gender as you, but not sexually attracted to him. But there's all sorts of ways that you can use labels and you can use terms, and like, I think everybody trips up over these things. I certainly know I do, because there are so many and there are so many words. But it's not about you having a dictionary of every single term that you can look through and understand. And it's not that you have to understand, you have to empathize. You have to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand why exclusively addressing people as men and women would be problematic for someone who is non-binary or is transgender, because they're all very loaded terms, but like, you're instantly excluding anybody who isn't a man or a woman, and there are plenty of people who would not say they are either of those things. I wouldn't say I am in either of those. But again, I think it's just that process of, I wouldn't know what non-binary meant, and I might like be really confused about that part of my identity, but knowing that non-binary exists as an umbrella term for so many people among the transgender spectrum makes me feel like it gives me a sense of belonging, it makes me feel valid, and I think that's where labels come in, is that you, like I said, it's like a beacon. You find people who relate to that, and you can understand through other people's relationships and through other people's experiences why being non-binary is not a bad thing, or why being gay is not a bad thing. Particularly, I think, if you're growing up without role models around you who can articulate that for you. Like, I think that's really important, that you have a support network and you have a place to go where you can feel safe and you can feel welcome. So for me, labels are really important for that, and they're really integral for that. But I think the other thing we have to remember is that they're not doing it for us. When you assign yourself a label, you're not doing it for other people. Other people will be interested and will want to learn, but I think that's a mindset. Again, I think of things as fluid and changeable, and, you know, this insecurity we've built around change is not a natural human thing, because humans and nature changes all the time. Like, we are never the same day after day. Our cells are constantly dying and being rebuilt as per our DNA, our instructions. So we are not the same, literally not the same. Like, every moment that passes, we change. We are so flexible and we are so dynamic, but we put ourselves in this rigid, like, social box where everything has to have a term, and when it does have a term, you can explain it, but on the other hand, I think there's that need to be like, oh, well, you said you were gay, so you can't possibly ever be anything else, or they're straight, so, you know, how can they now be gay? Like, they've been straight for 25 years. Well, actually, they haven't been straight for 25 years. They just haven't, A, known how to articulate it, B, understood that about themselves, and C, they haven't felt comfortable and confident enough to tell other people. And I think that's the flip side of labels, is that we're in this society that really values structure and consistency and certainty, and those are things that we are not given. So naturally we look for them, but when we've created something over centuries that gives us those illusions of those things, as soon as we feel different, or as soon as we feel like we don't have those things, we lose complete control, because they were actually never ours to begin with. And it's such an interesting concept. I will talk more about being non-binary and my journey through non-binariness in multiple videos. It's not something that I'm just gonna be like, I'm non-binary, bye. Part of being a non-binary dino that I am is that I get to live as authentically me, and that is gonna be something that comes up in multiple videos, I am sure. So stay tuned. I hope you found this video really interesting. I certainly really enjoyed talking about it. I don't know if you could tell. I'm gonna go have some lunch and yeah, get back to work in about 40 minutes, and I will see you later. Bye! Also, please remember to subscribe, hit that like button, and ding the notification bell for notifications every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!